The 28-year-old grad student from Washington State University who's been accused of murdering 4 University of Idaho students. The hearing has ended. We saw Bryan Kohberger actually enter that courthouse hours before this extradition hearing. By all accounts, it appears that he has waived his extradition. The judge asked him if he is making this decision free and clear and of his free will, and that he was not on any kind of medications. He has indicated that is so. And now it appears that he will be transported back to Idaho within the next 10 days for this legal process to continue. And we will cover every second of it here on Law and Crime as much as we can. No cameras actually allowed in that courtroom. But what we are doing is waiting for any kind of update from outside the courthouse right now. We believe that there's a pre-scheduled press conference by the police at about 4:30 p.m. Eastern time. I'm keeping a very careful eye on that feed. As soon as we can jump live, we will. In the meantime, let me show you what Shannon Gray, who is the attorney for Kaylee Gonsalves' family, one of the victims in this case, what he had to say about the probable cause affidavit.
Well, we'd like to see it. They're not going to release it to us. I mean, I've asked for it right now, and they've not released it to us. They're stating Idaho state law that they can't release it until after the arraignment. And so we're honoring that. But you know, I'm just as anxious, and the family is just as anxious to see the probable cause affidavit as everyone else is. Hopefully it's a good probable cause affidavit. It's not going to detail everything that's in part of the investigation, but it will give a good basis about what possible evidence they have that connects the defendant in this case to the crime. So, and then, maybe, they can ask, I think that the real thing is that, the community being involved and knowing and offering up additional details about any connections or anything like that. So,
see, here's the thing that I find so interesting, Jennifer, is how much do the families know? Do you imagine that they know more information? Let me rephrase. Do you believe that they're going to be, updated to everything in this case when they read that probable cause affidavit like the rest of us, or do they know more information than we know? Because I know there was a whole conversation earlier on in this case about what Stephen Gonsalves was told about the autopsy results and things of that nature. But typically speaking, how much are the families actually, apprised of what's actually happening in the case?
Well, I think initially in this case, law enforcement did provide some details. We know they did. For instance, they provided the huge detail, in my opinion, about Maddie and Kaylee being in the same bed. Also, there was some discussion regarding the wounds that they suffered compared to one another. And so there were some details offered that certainly weren't public. And I believe after that information was disclosed publicly, that I think law enforcement was much more guarded as to what information they were going to give any of the parents. And that is quite usual, actually. They do not want to tip their hand. They're so worried about that information being leaked out. And the more people that know those details, the more chance that their investigation is going to be compromised.
So here's a question that we have from MF Errors, Magnet Fishers from YouTube. Do you think he got rid of the knife before or on the cross-country road trip with his dad? Again, we do not know where the suspected murder weapon is. We know that he went on this pre-planned cross-country trip with his father. People are wondering, is it possible he tossed it in the course of this trip, which make things very difficult, I imagine, for investigators to now search such a wide area. What is your take on it?
I don't expect that he tossed it. I think that he took care of that murder weapon. He realizes what that could mean if it was found. So I think he would have either buried it or put it in a river or otherwise concealed it someplace where it would be very difficult for anyone to find.
Jillian de Guvella from YouTube asks, reports say he wore gloves after the crime at the university and at the store in his hometown while under surveillance. Any indication of wounds on his hands?
I have heard of no indication of that, but again, with wearing gloves, that would be hard to see. Also remember, and I don't know if this was interiorly, but it's very cold there. So it doesn't surprise me that he was seen wearing gloves. Obviously, if they were inside, that would pose a different situation. But I know of no information that's been released by law enforcement or a credible source that he has cuts on his hands.
By the way, talking about this weapon, we only speculated about what it might be. There was reports that it was a K-bar style knife, a Rambo style knife. I've heard mixed reaction in terms of what kind of weapon you would need to use, presuming it's one weapon and not two. What kind of weapon you would need to use to really brutally kill 4 people. Possibly there were defensive wounds as well, so someone was struggling. Do you think I'm right and that's the kind of knife we're looking for here?
Yes, I think we're looking for a large blade knife. I think he would have been smart enough and savvy enough to have a knife that had the guard. So as he was stabbing, there was no chance for his hand to slip down and to be cut by the blade. So I think we are looking for that sort of style of knife, not only based on my opinion, but also based on really the details of what the coroner said. That's the conclusion that could easily be drawn.
By the way, we keep showing this footage of Bryan Kohberger. This is from earlier today when he was actually brought into that courthouse. Again, this is the first sighting we've seen. We obviously have his mugshot from Friday, but watching this footage of him walking in is pretty chilling to see because so many weeks went by where we were just wondering who could have done this? Who is there to be? What suspect is there? And to see the main suspect walking in is pretty eerie and chilling. This is an interesting question about safety. Jill Sanford from YouTube asks, Jennifer, are they concerned about Bryan's safety? How often are presumed and guilty prisoners killed while in custody?
Well, it happens, and it is definitely going to be a concern with that correctional facility. It's also going to be a concern that he not escape. Bundy, as an example, escaped. I mean, there are very smart, I should say very savvy people that are often incarcerated, and they figure out different ways to escape facilities. So he will be highly guarded, both to protect him against himself, against others, and against escape.
RH from YouTube asks, Jennifer, do you think the defendant will get on the stand during the trial? So I'll take the lead on this first, and then I'll throw it to you. So early to determine that because we don't even know what a potential defense is. If I had to guess, I would say no. I don't think in these typical kind of cases, in these kinds of cases, it would benefit a defendant to take the stand. We usually see it in self-defense cases where sometimes a jury needs to understand why a person committed a killing. You know, it doesn't become a question of if they did it, it becomes a question of why they did it, and self-defense and reasonableness. I don't think he would do that in this case. It's so early to have this conversation. I throw it to you.
It is very early. I would have a slightly different take, Jesse. I think that if he saw the trial going along and was realizing it is a slam dunk case, their DNA is so strong, he, as a Hail Mary, I could see him insisting on getting on the stand. Again, we're dealing with a narcissist, thinking that he could possibly explain away the evidence that had been presented.
Talking about a trial, Araya from YouTube asks, do you think this trial will happen in Moscow or in Boise, Idaho? And wait, I think there's a, yes, okay. This is a follow-up question from Chris Lopez from YouTube. With the national attention that this has gained, would the trial be held in Latah County or be moved to Boise, such as in the Lori Vallow Daybell case?
I would completely believe that this will have a change of venue, and I would expect it to be Boise, where there's a much larger jury pool.